The main reason we play Legends of Runeterra is to have fun, and there's no better way of doing this than by beating an opponent with a jokey meme deck that has the most satisfying finishes. This video looks at my top 5 current favourite meme decks. The aim of this deck is to cast Unyielding Spirit on your powder kegs so they never die. You can link them up with your damaging spells and effects to wipe out your opponent's side of the board and nexus. This deck is mono Bilgewater with the exception of the 3 Unyielding Spirits. Dreadway Deckhand and Petty Officer are just 2 of the many cards in this deck that can generate powder kegs. Additionally, Gangplank and More Powder can continue to help generate them. When you have a powder keg on the field, cast Unyielding Spirit on it. This means it will never be able to take any damage or die. Normally, powder kegs destruct after one use, but Unyielding Spirit will keep them on the board so you can use its effect again and again. Zap Sprayfin allows you to draw a spell costing 3 or less mana when it's summoned. This can quickly find you the cheaper burn spells this deck has to combo with the powder kegs. The spell damage works perfectly with Twisted Fate's Red Destiny card, and it will damage all enemy cards and nexus for 1 plus the number of kegs you currently have on the field. The powder kegs can combo with any burn spell, like Make It Rain and Double Up. Your big finish involves Riptide Rex with his Cannon Barrage effect that deals 2 damage 7 times to random enemies. If an enemy is dead or gone by this effect, it deals 1 damage to the enemy nexus instead. This effect can occur a maximum of 7 times. The damage of this effect is increased by 1 for every keg you have, so this means if you have 5 kegs that are on the field with the ability of Unyielding Spirit, you could be dealing a potential of 70 damage, wiping out your opponent's board and nexus in 1 turn. This is a heavy control deck that is designed to stall your opponent till turn 9 and 10 when you can summon a Commander Ledros and the Dreadway. It features cards from the Shadow Isles and Bilgewater and is designed about pulling off a 1-turn kill combo with these 2 cards. This deck contains lots of healing cards to help keep your nexus healthy to late game, with Grasp of the Undying and Withering Wail being 2 notable examples. Soul Gorger has also been included in this deck. It costs 6 mana and has 3 power and 7 health, making it a very sturdy wall. It has the Lifesteal effect, which can pull off several times due to its very high health total. Use Shadow Isle's fantastic board clearance with spells like the Box and Vengeance if you feel your opponent is going to gain control of the game and finish you off before turn 9. When you finally reach late game, summon the Dreadway first. It has the effect to double all damage dealt by allies. In the next turn, summon Commander Ledros, which has the effect of halving the enemy's nexus health when summoned. Dreadway will double the effect damage and wipe out your opponent's nexus in 1 go. The aim of this deck is to continuously activate spells whilst you have Starlit Fizz and pull out a super buffed Fizz to win the game, which your opponent cannot stop. This deck contains a 50-50 split of Bilgewater and Freylord, with almost all the cards costing 4 below. 34 cards in this deck are spells, as you can see from the image. Starlit Fizz is key to this deck. When you cast a spell, the top 3 allies gain 1 power and health. As you only have 6 non-spell cards in this deck, there's a super high chance it will buff one of your 3 Fizz cards. Make sure your starting hand has a Starlit Fizz where possible to start the buffing process early. If you don't get the cards you want in your hand, use draw cards like Pick a Card and Salvage to draw these as quickly as possible. Shared Spores is another important card to this deck, and it grants the top 3 units in your deck 1 power and health. It also has the additional effect allowing you to draw one of these cards when Plunder is activated. You can pull off Plunder really easily with spells like Warning Shot and Make It Rain. Shed Spores will either draw you another Starlit Fizz to continue the snowballing buff effect further, or a Fizz so you can start damaging your opponent. Additionally, this deck has 3 copies of Entreat, which will allow you to draw a random champion from the deck. As Fizz is the only champion in the deck, it will always draw you a Fizz card. Fizz gains elusive when you cast a spell. Additionally, spells and skills cannot target Fizz once its effect is activated, meaning it's almost impossible to stop a Fizz attack unless you have another elusive card. Once Fizz is on the board, buff it with cards like Pocket Aces and Battle Fury for permanent buffs. That way you will have an extremely buffed up, untargetable Fizz that will easily be able to hit the enemy Nexus with elusive. This deck is the Bilgewater twist on a deck designed to allow the easy activation of Purrsuit of Perfection, with the added addition of Subpurrsible, which works around a similar mechanic of playing different cards. The first champion I want to look at is Heimerdinger. Heimerdinger is a must in all Purrsuit decks, as each of its turrets counts as a different unique card towards bringing out Catastrophe. You will have no issue summoning turrets, as the deck has 23 spells. These turrets act as amazing forms of control and can help you stall the game as long as you need. Twisted Fate is the other champion in this deck and is the Bilgewater addition to the original deck. He is also a great control card, with all three of his Destiny cards bringing a different control mechanic to the table that can help you draw out the game as long as possible to summon Catastrophe. Subpurrsible only requires 10 unique cards to activate its effect, so it'll be super easy to optionally use this card. This card gains an additional 4 power once you've used 10 different card names. 5/5 on an elusive card is nothing to joke about and can deal some really big damage quickly. This deck also contains multiple copies of Black Market Merchant and Pilfered Goods. These cards both have effects that revolve around stealing enemy cards, which is fantastic in this deck, as opposing cards will also count towards Purrsuit of Perfection's unique card total. Followers with effects like Chump Wump and Yordle Grifter have been included, as they both create different cards in your hand. For example, the mushroom clouds that Chump Wump creates means you can easily tick off 2 out of the 20 unique cards you need to summon Catastrophe. Salvage and Progress Day are just 2 of the many draw cards in this deck, which will help you get the unique cards you need in your hand as quickly as possible. When you hit 20 unique cards, cast Purrsuit of Perfection to bring out the 30/30 Catastrophe, and use its Overwhelm to almost always wipe out your opponent with one attack. This is a combo deck that is built around stalling long enough to execute a combo that can lead to your opponent deck having an infinite number of poison mushrooms in their deck. For the combo to work, cards from both Iona and Piltover Zorn are needed. You can't do this combo until Karma is enlightened, so you'll have to stall until turn 10, making sure you keep Karma, Cloudrinker, and Puffcap Peddler on the field or in the hand. You'll also need to keep all your Counterfeit copies and Rummage available to help produce the infinite cycle later in the game. Shadow Assassin and River Shaper have both been included in this deck to help you collect cards you need to pull off the combo, while having effects that allow you to draw cards. Progress Day has also been included to help you draw cards later in the game if you are really struggling to find the cards you need. To prepare for the combo before turn 10, summon Puffcap Peddler and Cloudrinker when you can. Puffcap Peddler allows you to plant 3 poison Puffcaps every time you cast a spell. Cloudrinker means all your burst spells cost 1 less mana. When you reach turn 10, Karma will level up and will gain the effect that will duplicate all spells you cast at no extra cost. Once all cards are on the field, the combo will begin. Counterfeit copies allows you to produce 4 identical copies of a card in your hand and shuffle them into your deck. Rummage has the effect where you discard 2 cards to draw 2 cards. Both of these are burst spells that cost 1 mana, so Cloudrinker's effect will allow them to be free to cast. Both of these burst spells produce an infinite loop if used in the correct ratio. Try to use 2 out of 3 counterfeit copies on Rummage and 1 out of 3 on copies of another version of counterfeit copies, as this will allow you to keep drawing more versions of these cards. Every time you cast one of these 3 spells, Puffcap Peddler will plant 3 Shrooms in the opponent's deck. The only limit is how quickly you can cast these before your turn timer runs out. Please post in the comments the largest number of Shrooms you're able to plant in the opponent's deck. I would love to hear how many you can do. So thank you very much for listening, guys. As you can probably tell, this is a little bit different than my normal kind of meta-focused videos. So I'd love your feedback, whether this style of video works, whether you'd like to see more meme decks, whatever you really want to say. So thank you very much, guys, and please like and subscribe. See you next time.